Hey everybody! So I've had a couple of questions about one of my instruments come up lately, and I figured I'd do a quick video to show you a little bit about how it works. Now the guitar in question is my travel guitar that I have called the Quark. Now because I'm a scientist, quarks are, subatomic particles that are really super tiny. And what else is tiny? A travel guitar is. So this guitar may look a little funny, and the reason for that is that I did a few things to basically suit my needs for when I am out and about and on the road taking a guitar someplace. Now, the first thing you'll notice is that this is a headless guitar. The reason for that is because a headstock adds several more inches onto it, and I wanted this to be as compact as possible. In fact, my goal with this was to try and make it so that it would fit into a standard size carry-on bag, which it actually does. It'll also fit into a backpack, and it'll easily fit into any kind of a luggage bag or something like that. So the bridge that it uses is what's called the KD patent bridge. It's just a generic Chinese headless bridge, but the reason I like it is because the mechanism along here is extremely compact. There's actually a little wrench that you put into each of these little tuning wheels here that gives you a little bit of extra torque to be able to tune the guitar. And then when you don't need it, it just stores in a little, right there, it just stores into a little magnetic recess. The next thing about this, it's just a single pickup. I don't need a whole variety of sounds when I'm out playing, when I'm out just like on vacation with family or whatever. And I've also just got a single volume knob right there. Okay. Now, kind of going around the side here, you'll notice that I've got a couple of different jacks. This right here is the output jack to go to an amplifier. So that's just your standard output jack. Over here, I have 1/4 inch and 1/8 inch stereo jacks that are actually used for the onboard electronics, so that I can jam around and listen to, overdrive and a cab simulator without having to be plugged in. It's really great if you want to rock out but keep the volume low. On the back here, we've got, this is the Onboard Electronics. This is a Zen drive circuit that then goes into an EP101 preamp circuit, and then that goes into Dead Astronaut's cab sim called Astro Sim. And that is a fantastic cabinet simulator. Also has a headphone output built into it that uses 1/2 of a 5532 op amp, and just sounds really great. And so that's all contained in here. There's the battery for it. This right here is the access for the volume pot. And then you'll notice these recesses that I've got here. These recesses actually allow the wings of the body to fold up. Now, I had to do some repairs on this while I was still in the building process and ended up destroying 2 of my hinges. So I just have dowel pegs in here right now. I need to get some more hinges. But then these guys just nest right in here like that. And then you also see this channel through here, this recessed channel, is actually tapered to match the taper of the neck. So I actually have I call it quick release, but it's not like the quickest quick release mechanism ever for the neck that allows me to store everything really nice and compact. So if you look here, I've got 2 little pins that go in from this side. There's one that comes in from this side. These are brass pins that go through steel sleeve bushings, and then they go into they go through sleeveless they go through steel sleeve bushings both in the body and in the neck. And so what that allows me to do is to use this little knob that I've got right here. This is just a standard cabinet pull from Home Depot that I have put permanent Loctite onto a threaded stud here that is just the standard number 832 thread that all of these things come with. That's the same thread that I tapped my brass pins with. And so I can just screw that into my pins a little bit, and then it gives me a good purchase, and I can just pull those pins out after I loosen up the strings really well. So if I wanted to break this guy down, unscrew that real quick. I'll take my little wrench here, and I'm just gonna loosen up these strings a bit. You want to get them relatively loose, but you don't want them so loose that they come off, because the mechanism for this KD patent bridge doesn't make restringing it really super simple. I mean, it's about as simple as you can get with a compact mechanism like this. In fact, it's very similar to a mechanism I was trying to design several years ago that would be a headless mechanism that would allow for really quick and easy adjustments. So I've got my strings loosened up really good here. Let's see, one of those guys, that one. With this KD patent bridge, you can actually twist these with your fingers if if you're too lazy to use the wrench. However, they can get just a little tight sometimes. So anyway, thread this guy in here a little bit. Pull that pin out. Unthread him. Go to the next one. Thread him in. Pull him out. Now these pins, I spun them on my metal lathe and buffed them up pretty good, and then waxed them with just paste wax. And what that did is that lubricates them pretty well, so that they don't bind onto the bushings that are inside of the body and the neck. And then there we go. And then, unfortunately, the paint that I used can get a little sticky. But there's the neck, comes right out. And then what I would normally do is I would wrap these with Velcro, wrap the strings with Velcro. And then I'm just going to take the neck in here like this and kind of slide it up until friction just holds it in there like that. On the front side, you go and you just give this guy a nice little loop like that and some Velcro, and you're ready to roll. You're ready to go off on your travels. And then to put it all back together, it's just slide the neck on out, put it back into position. Oh, a little flake of paint just came off. That's a bummer. I used a really thick glitter paint, which kind of messed with my tolerances, which is kind of a bummer. If I were doing this again, I certainly would not be doing that. The pins just need to be pressed in. There's one of them pressed in. Where did the other ones go? That one's pressed in. That one's pressed in. There we go. Just like that. And then I take my little tuning wrench and I just give these guys a little crank, get them up to tension. And then obviously I'll need to tune this guy. But the miracle of cell phones is that you can have a tuner right there on your cell phone, and it's pretty easy to get this guy all tuned back up. Let's see. And our last string. So there we are. It's all back up to pitch and everything. It's ready to get tuned and then to play. And yeah, that's kind of what there is to it. I do have on my Onboard Electronics, I do have an overall on-off switch. I also have a switch for the Zen Drive enable disable. And you can see my microphone starting to sag into the picture here. So there we go. That is the Quark travel guitar. The body is made out of all Doug fir, which I also would not do again with this design, because the grain likes to pull drill bits off into weird places, which when you have to drill really precise holes for the pins in the neck and the bridge, it's really not the greatest thing ever. I used Quartersawn Sycamore for the fretboard, which looks really great. It's a little soft, but this is not a guitar that's going to see tons of heavy use, and so that's not much of a problem. But on the whole, this is a lot of fun to play. It clocks in at just over 2 pounds, maybe 2.5 pounds total weight. And, you know, if you were to listen to it blind, you would never know that it was this puny little thing. It's got a great sound. The single coil sized rail humbucker does a great job. It was just something I had left over in the parts bin, and there we go. It plays fantastic. It is a whole load of fun to play, and I am a big fan of travel guitars, so I recommend that anyone who wants to build one, go build one. Have a good one.